Come on. This whole thing. This is my fourth Titan from Forgeworld. I have already done 3 Warhound Titans and I thought it was about time I step it up a little bit. So today we are going to be working on a Reaver Titan. We're going to get it all built because we have a big charity stream coming up in about 2 months in which that I'll be going live on Twitch, and I shall not be signing off on Twitch until this Titan is fully painted. It's all going to be for charity, it's going to be for cancer, it's going to be a really nice, fun, exhausting day. But obviously before that day, I need to get the Reaver Titan built. I've often wanted to weigh in on the discussion, which is a Titan worth it? If you look at it like this miniature all in, including its weapons, is about €1,200. That is so much money. Is the model worth it? Is it as detailed? Is it as crisp? Is it as sharp? Is it as fun to work on? And does it give you a glorious piece at the end? Or would it be better for you to spend that €1,200 somewhere else buying yourself an entire army or 2 from other parts of Warhammer 40,000? So by the end of this video, hopefully you guys will have a slightly better understanding about that question and have an answer for yourself. Without further ado, let's dive in and see what our Reaver Titan entails. I always recommend a hobby saw. This is the old Games Workshop hobby saw. You are going to need a clippers. Now, I would usually recommend 2 clippers for this job. These are my older pair, but they're quite robust and quite strong. So I use this to remove like big chunky bits of resin and cut away. And if they get damaged, that's totally fine. And then obviously a nice, precise, clean clippers for any of the small parts. A hobby knife, of course, to scrape and clean and remove extra parts. Everybody knows that. I also keep this is another old Games Workshop tool. It's actually a resin brush. So it's for scrubbing resin parts and removing extra kind of dust and debris and bits that you've cleaned off the model. It was originally made for Finecast. We won't talk about Finecast. This is the best thing that came out of Finecast, is this brush. Files and emery boards and stuff to clean off any extra parts. This is a lot of parts. And my goal is by the end of today, having this entire miniature built.
Oh, my sweet summer child.
Okay, we have 9 billion parts on the table and it's time to start the process of getting them ready for construction. This is going to be the longest stage of getting your Titan built, is the prep work. Not the gluing the model together or anything like that, it is the prep work. And how do we prep our miniatures? Well, if I grab a random piece, so this is a part of the shin, I think, with the supports and stuff. Obviously, we have to remove all the excess pins and cut off the gates. And these are the large extra pieces of resin that exist on the end of them. And as you can see, they are like, well, that's that bit broken off, but it has left behind the huge big nub that still needs to be sawn off and cleaned off and stuff like that. Perfect example of what I was talking about before. You can see all the different gaps that are supposed to be there. I've cleaned out one of the gaps so far. They're all supposed to look like that middle one, and unfortunately they're all filled with the excess resin. It's not a big deal, it's just time consuming. Just really sharp scalpel, go it in, scrape off the excess bits. Like I said, these are the kind of details. It's an expensive miniature. I know it's going to take, you know, 2 or 3, 4 or 5 minutes to get this bit looking clean, but if you're going to spend $1,000 on a model more, then you might as well spend the time to make it look as nice as possible. Now, with all of these small sections cut out and cleaned up, as you can see them all here, safe and sound in that little container, it was time to move on to some of the heavier parts of this Titan. This is where that hobby saw comes into play, cutting away those large gates, filing and sanding them until they're smooth, removing any excess kind of resin or flash or mold lines or anything like that can all get cut away and cleaned up. Had to dry fit in the pilots to see how it would look. Very excited to paint that as its own little project. I do like painting the interior of Titans. The heads especially. I don't really paint the inside of the torso. At least I haven't yet on any of my Titans. But the inside of the heads always gets painted. Quite enjoy that. As you can see, using large nail files as well as emery boards to remove some of this resin. Now, always remember, although I don't show it in this, I do have a respirator mask on to keep the resin dust, which you do not want in your lungs, out of there. And make sure that you keep that mask on while you're kind of brushing off your desk, or you're using your dustpan and brush to clean up all that debris. Just, yeah, be safe. Resin dust is no joke.
4 hours later.
I am not even being remotely overdramatic. 4 hours later, all of the parts that make up the Titan are now cut off of their gates, cleaned up, filed, smoothed, and ready to go. There is a couple of bits left over, There's bits like this, could not be bothered. The amount of work that would go into removing them from this and using them properly is just effort versus reward. No. So a Titan is many parts. These are the small bits that were in that small plastic box. Lots of piping and ductwork and stuff like that. The crew. So you've got the, the two gunners that go with the princeps. Then you have the two gunners that go in the arm. These are servitors. And then you have the tech priest that actually sits inside of the body and monitoring all the stuff. You got some like icons. Don't know what they are. These are all pistons. This entire pile is pistons for just like from the toes up to the waist. So that's a lot of parts and a lot of intricate parts to make that work. It's kind of scary and complicated. We'll figure it out. We've got a lot of consoles here, a lot of panels, a lot of stuff like that. Void shields, they're the generators there that come out the top, the emitters or whatever. We have the guns already built. We built those on stream, on my Twitch stream. So we have the three guns, the car-based top-mounted weapon, and then each arm weapon, which is cool. This is a much older one. It was given to me by a friend of mine. Take the armor panel off that for now. And it came with the shoulder mount already with the kit, whereas modern ones don't come with that. But then in the kit, where are they? You get two. So I don't really know what the purpose of that was. But then this is the rest of the parts. So this is like the main body plus legs. This is like the structural parts. Let me just move some of these armory panel bits out of the way to make that more clear. So these like leg parts, feet, toes, it's the waist, shoulder mounts where the guns get plugged in, main, it's like body carapacey bit, neck, head is over here. I looked at this and I did genuinely think that it looked like Yoda's lightsaber. But it is not, it is part of the feet. And it drives along, yeah, so yeah. Pretty cool looking piece though. Over here we have all of the armor panels, which will be left off of the Titan whilst we are painting. They'll be painted by hand individually. They're all very beautiful. They're all very smooth and clean and ready to be sprayed and painted up and then glued on all at the end. So as you can see, there's quite a lot of work in all of that. Some bits are annoying because this is like a structural piece. This is like the back shoulder part. And this obviously gets plugged into the main body section and stuff like that. But its armor panel is already stuck on. So when you build the Titan, you have all the panels left off except for like just these ones, which gets a little bit annoying for airbrush work and stuff like that. But a lot of masking tape will be required. With all of the parts, like I said, all cut out and cleaned up and ready to go, it's time to move on to the construction phase of building this Titan. You start with the most complicated part, and I cannot stress this enough. Going from feet to waist, getting that section built and posed correctly so that it looks nice, it fits in, and it just looks like it's some sort of motion is so important and will make a huge difference to the end aesthetic of your Titan. Will you make this Titan look really good? Will you make it look like it's actually falling over backwards, or that kind of thing? It's an important step. So it's the one that will take the absolute longest amount of time. And then like throwing together the main torso or guns and stuff like that does not take a lot of time. So please do take all of the time and all of the patience when building this section from bottom of the feet up to the top of the waist, the most important. Okay, I'm already a little bit stressed out getting this thing together. All of my other Titans are based. I have laser cut out bases for them. This is the size that my Warhounds went on. It's the biggest size that I had printed. It is definitely too small for the Reaver. I do have some big ovals done that I laser cut out there for more fantasy-esque figures, the Dread Saurian from Forgeworld and stuff. This is the actual base size he's meant to go on, as dictated by Games Workshop. But Games Workshop would sell this base. Don't get me started on that. What I'm looking at here is the distance between the feet that we have is only like 1 or 2 inches. Even if I like have, the toe on either side, like hanging off the edge a little bit to give me even just a little bit more space, there's still only about 2 inches between the bases. And if you look at the instructions with the kind of positioning they have for the legs, there's definitely more than 2 inches in between those feet. So I'm a little bit worried about how to base the miniature. Can I pull the legs in a little bit? Will it look weird? Or like I said, this is the most difficult stage, and the instructions they gave me are an absolute joke. I printed these out last year, really nice little bunker pieces, really cool. One of them failed right at the very end, so as you can see the parapet and stuff is missing, a little bit at the top of the crate. I was tempted to try and make this part of the base, and have the like Titan stamping and crushing the bunker a little bit and then stepping over it and firing. I thought that would be really, really cool. And I'm still interested in maybe trying to make that work. So for right now though, it's a bit all over the place. And this is exactly why this is the most difficult stage of, like, they expect you to have 15 hands in order to make that work. See, this is just not gonna work. The building would be far too high and I wouldn't be able to line up the waist at all. So I think the bunker idea is definitely scrapped, which is unfortunate. I thought that would have been really cool. Really wanted to do that. I need to glue these pieces in, but I can't glue those pieces in. I need to glue these pieces in. Okay, I'm just going to start committing because it's literally the only way to get this thing going. The idea of like dry fitting it or anything just doesn't really work. So the first thing I'm gonna do is just make the surface a little bit less kind of normal or regular so that I can at least change the topography just a little bit on the base. I don't want it just to be this super boring, like flat thing. So I'm just gonna go for one layer of cork for one of the feet, have it stomping up on that. The other one can go down a little bit normal. That means it'll change the knees and joints a little bit and it'll look less like it's like standing like a mannequin. So I'm just gonna start throwing lots and lots and lots of super glue on this cork section, gluing the feet to it, start gluing the toes into position, and then obviously working your way up the shins, thighs, obviously to the waist section. That is my current thought process. Is it a good thought? Is it a bad thought? Who knows? Why am I missing a toe? There it is. Side toe. So this bit obviously wants to get glued on here. And then this foot will get glued on over here. And then that will obviously give us the U here, the U here. And then that will give this a bit of a this kind of deal. And make it look just a little bit more interesting. Is it still too close? If I pull this whole leg a little bit more over here, I'll make it look more interesting. Don't know. It's really hard to tell. I feel like they should be wider apart again, but like I said, I don't really have a big enough base for them to be super wide. If I just add a shit ton of glue, then I think we can make this work. But we just have to be patient. And that's not gluing, yay. Not getting stressed out at all, I promise. This is totally easy. And this is totally the experience that everybody should have when they're trying to build a Titan. Something like this, maybe a little bit more over like here. Remembering that I have to keep that in line. Keep this in line. Making sure it all fits. Okay, I am not gonna lie, this is very not enjoyable. I think they expect you to be an octopus whilst constructing this thing and have like 14 hands. Like, I don't know how you are actually supposed to properly do this. The idea of holding the feet in place with the ankle lined up with the shins, then the thighs, and then into the, I guess the crotch section, if you will. And then whilst doing that, everything line up and also achieve a cool pose. It is a tall order trying to do all that in one go, I must say. I cannot tell you how nice it feels to have the legs assembled and have that whole part of the process behind me, because it genuinely was quite a frustrating kind of experience getting those done. But obviously seeing the results, the legs assembled, I think I got a relatively nice pose. It looks like it's marching forward. It looks going to look really good when the torso is built and connected. I've got a lot more work to do on the base, so please don't judge the piles of cork on the model. And like I said, I use it kind of like an anchor point, and you saw there as I was trying to wiggle it around that it is fairly secure, fairly steady, and I think it's going to be like fine forevermore. It's not going to break or anything like that.
These two sections were another thing that was a bit of a nightmare. I glued the 3 parts of the back, which is on my right hand here, together. They lined up beautifully, but then when I went to attach it to the torso, I had absolutely no joy. It did not line up at all. It did not fit in at all in where it was supposed to, and it did take quite a lot of time to file, and then in the end I actually had to get a huge pot of boiling water, submerge the entire piece into it for a couple of minutes until it was quite malleable, then jam it into place. And when I had finished jamming it into place, I was so nervous about trying to pull it apart again that while it was lodged together, I just squirted super glue into the seams. I didn't pull it apart, add super glue inside. Nope, I'm just going to trust to the seams that it's going to hold, because I just don't think I would have been able to get it back together again if I pulled it apart. Adding some very simple parts like the nose cone here, the kind of shoulder joints that hold the guns. And like I said, all I did is add a touch of super glue. I've watched a million videos out there of all these people who, I don't know, they've got like tons of epoxy resin and pins and everything and all sorts. I do not think that is required at all. If you have strong gel super glue, the parts are cleaned and washed. There's no kind of release agent left behind. Super glue is more than enough. Resin is porous, therefore it holds it really tight, doesn't fall apart at all. Now, this bit here is the exception, the bit where I thought this is a point of failure. I need to make sure this stays together. And that is, there's a ball joint around the waist that attaches the model to the legs. Now that's a single ball joint. It's quite a large ball joint, but it is a single ball joint which holds the entire top half of this model onto the legs. And I just didn't trust that to never break or never fall. So what I decided to do is the age-old trick of adding an actual screw to it. So I carefully did a pilot hole. I did a larger hole to hide the head of the screw, and then a Phillips head screwdriver attachment, and then a screw straight through the middle of the whole thing. Made it super secure. It's rock steady, and it's just, yeah, it's never going anywhere. So I think this is a sensible precaution to do. Obviously, you can just do the old pin trick, but I think this is fairly easy. We'll add the same kind of thing to the arm joints later on. I'll show you that too, and it just works. We then spent a little bit more time adding the last pistons of this model. I don't even know how many pistons I put in the model, but these are the last kind of 5 that go around the waist section and lock it all together. I'm so happy to have the last pistons out of the way, because you got to remember, depending on how you pose this miniature dictates the length in which you have to cut the pistons to and then insert them. You get it wrong, you can't add piston length back on, so you have to be really careful. Just get that old mentality in your head of, measure twice, cut once, and you should be okay. Same thing with these kind of like pipes and cables here. All I used was a touch of super glue and got them glued into place. Because it's such a small area, you can just squeeze and bend them until they're lined up correctly, and then super glue, boom, and they're ready to go.
Okay, off camera there, I did the cabling between the legs. The reason it's off camera is because there was so much swearing involved.
Ploppers.
The way it works is there is 4 cables that run from kind of the armor plate underneath the kind of crotch section. 2 cables go off to the left and 2 cables go off to the right and connect underneath the legs. The cables are not like the right length or the right size or the right shape. The whole purpose is, and they even say it in the instructions, is you're supposed to use a heat gun, glue in one side, use a heat gun to warm up the resin, and then bend it into place. Well, I don't own a heat gun. I don't know how many people, as standard kit in their kind of studios or homes or whatever, have a heat gun. Maybe a hairdryer works in a pinch. I don't know. I feel like they would have said that if that was the case. I know I could bend the resin with hot water, which is what I decided to do, but that meant that the piece had to be completely separate from this. I had to dip the entire thing into hot water until the cable basically got malleable. Then I had to bend it into the correct shape, add super glue, and attach it before it hardened again 4 times. With those cables in place, I feel like we're pretty much ready to do some kind of final assembly on this thing. I've been kind of racking my brain for the last few days, last few hours, whether or not to attach the arms. Obviously, for the purposes of painting, the arms as separate pieces makes a hell of a lot more sense, but I want to get that final shot of like a cool Reaver Titan fully built. So I'm going to do the same screw trick that I did for the torso. I'm going to screw these bad boys in and connect the arms with that. And then I can always just take the screw out, the arm will pop out, and then, you know what I mean? I won't add any super glue to it just yet. Or maybe I will, no, I won't. I'll just screw for now. And then when I finally assemble them at the end of that big stream, I'll add super glue, reattach the screws, and attach the whole piece. So I'm going to go and do that really quick. And there we have it. We have an arm fully attached, screwed on. That would never come off if it actually turns because of the way it was designed. And obviously there's a gap at the top and stuff, but that's actually covered by these like little holes and stuff like that. They're not left blank. So in fact, they're covered by armor panels. So absolutely no worries there on seeing screws and stuff. So I'm going to do that to the other arm very quickly. I also have one more little trick that I want to do for attaching the head temporarily before painting it. It's something I've actually been doing for a number of years. I think it's quite clever. You guys let me know. So all you do is you get a drill bit. Any drill bit you want that you think is as adequate size. And this is going to be the hole you drill for your pin. So very simply, all you will do is find the place that you want to drill. So for instance, I'm going to drill inside the kind of neck joint of the Titan. And I can go the whole way through the door at the back because a chair goes there anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So like I said, I have drilled a hole in basically the center of the head. And now I'm going to drill a hole through the center of this. It's actually already kind of a little pin vicey thing there for... Okay, so I've drilled a hole through there. Now we need to find a perfect piece of brass rod to use as the pin. Or do you? You can buy drill bits in the like 100 packs for nothing. Because I've used this exact drill piece to drill this hole, it makes the literal perfect pin. You push it in, push it through the hole. Before you know it, you have a perfect pinned connection for the head. You go into Amazon and buy drill bits. Just buy loads of them, big packet of them, and use them as the actual pins. Perfect hole, perfect size, perfect everything. Don't have to cut pins or anything like that. I've been doing it for years and I think it's a really neat little trick. And now we have the head attached to our Titan. There are of course certain pieces of this Titan which I'm not going to be able to screw on temporarily, but what I can do is get the most versatile hobby tool known to man, blue tack. So I'm going to blue tack the rest of these bits and pieces on. Basically get to see what a finished looking, assembled Reaver Titan looks like, and I'm pretty excited about that. You notice I just nearly knocked that Titan over? Shh. Let's pretend that didn't happen and we'll never speak of it again. Another thing I just wanted to chime in on really quick is we are of course starting to add in Patreon giveaways every single month for you awesome people out there that support this channel over on Patreon. This month, seeing how we're going to be working on a big glorious Titan, I thought the best thing that I could give away is a slightly smaller Titan. So I have a Knight Titan. It is the new Knight Questoris piece, all sealed, all nice, and it will be given away to one of my awesome Patreons this month. At the end of October, I will pick a name out of a hat. That lucky person will have this model sent to them anywhere else in the entire world. So if you're interested in getting involved with that and being in with a chance to win, all you need to do is join the Patreon at absolutely any tier and you'll be in with a chance. So hopefully some of you guys check it out. Now let's get back to Reaver Titan time. €1,200. About 3 days of working on this, filing, clipping, assembling, shaping, warming, all of that has led to this. My first Reaver Titan fully assembled in front of me, ready to be sprayed and painted. Have I learned a lot during this entire process? Sure, yeah, it's definitely a pain in the behind of a kit. Do I need to weigh in on whether or not I think it's worth it? I'm gonna leave you with this little bit, okay? So it does cost so much money. There's no excusing a €1,200 price tag on a miniature, even a miniature this size. That's bananas. Resin is not the best material in the world. If this thing came out in plastic, I think it would be an incredible kit. It would probably still be a €500 kit, but I think it would be worth it for the amount of headache and effort that went into assembling this thing, the amount of specialized tools they expect you to have in order to be able to assemble it. Even something as simple as a hobby saw. This thing is sold by Games Workshop, and I think they do still sell a small hobby saw, but not a lot of people would have one. Certainly not a heat gun. A Dremels are definitely required. I used power tools and drills.
It's impossible. Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave!
Also just a horrible experience from basically start to finish getting it built. But I cannot tell you the feeling that I had in my chest when I put that last panel into place and I got to step back for the first time and look at the model fully built. It filled me with pride. It made everything that came before it just wash away I don't care how much it was. I don't care how hard it was to build. I don't care what tools I need to build it. I love this thing. I love it so much and I cannot wait to paint it. So if you were asking me, do you think it's worth it? That is a very personal question. You will have to decide for yourself. Hopefully with the help of this video and a bunch of videos like it, you can make an educated decision as to whether you ever want to buy a Titan. I know in the deep parts of my soul that this will be nowhere near the last Titan that I build and paint. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, do all the usual things, like, comment, subscribe, check out Patreon, channel membership, all those other things. It's all linked below. Had a really great time doing this video, guys, and I hope you did too. I'll see you in the next one.